The air crackled with electricity, thick with the taste of iron and impending doom. Beneath a blood-red sky, a sea of soldiers flooded the horizon, their armor glinting like angry stars. Shi Huangdi, the first emperor of China, stood at the crest of the hill, his heart pounding in his chest as he gazed at the chaos unfolding below. In this moment, the weight of his choices loomed heavier than the oppressive sky. "Retreat," a voice shouted from the throng, tinged with panic. But Shi Huangdi's face remained a mask of steely resolve. He had fought to unite the fractured warring states, to carve a singular identity from a tapestry of conflict. Yet now, with enemies closing in from all sides, discontented nobles, ambitious warlords, and treacherous advisors, it felt as if the very foundations of his empire were crumbling underfoot. "Failure is not an option," he bellowed, his voice cutting through the clamor. But the echoes of his command seemed swallowed by the swirling dust, drowned out by the cries of men caught in the throes of chaos. The sky darkened further, a reflection of Shi Huangdi's internal turmoil. He had sacrificed so much to reach this pinnacle, the blood of his enemies and allies alike stained his hands. But as he watched his legions falter, doubt seeped into his heart like the encroaching night. How did it come to this? The question burned in his mind, even as he fought to keep his empire from slipping through his fingers. In the weeks leading to this moment, shadows lurked in the corners of his court, murmurs of dissent, whispers of betrayal. The grand halls of his palace, once bustling with ambition and fervor, now echoed with the sound of uncertainty. Shi Huangdi had brought unity to a land of chaos, yet the price of ambition revealed its ugly face. He paced through the dimly lit corridors, haunted by the specters of those who had fallen to his rise. "Loyalty is a fragile thing," he mused aloud, his voice barely above a whisper. The advisors who had once pledged their allegiance now cast sidelong glances, their loyalty exchanged for fear or greed. The emissaries of the other states gathered in secret, plotting his downfall from the shadows. They saw the emperor as a tyrant, with iron will and iron fist, and their hearts were steeled against him. Shi Huangdi's vision of a unified China had birthed resentment among those who once thrived in the chaos. "The Great Wall will protect us," he had declared, his voice booming with confidence. But as he gazed at the construction site, workers toiling tirelessly under the weight of stones they knew could imprison them, an unsettling question gnawed at his mind: was he fortifying the empire, or building his own prison? In the stillness of a night lit only by flickering torches, this tension came to a head. Shi Huangdi, aided by his trusted advisor Li Si, had made a decision that would echo through the halls of history. "We must strike now," Shi Huangdi urged, his eyes ablaze with determination. "We cannot allow our enemies to gather strength. If we attack the Han, it will show all who oppose us the futility of resistance." Li Si hesitated, feeling the weight of the commander's resolve pressing down on him. "But sire, they have allies." "We must consider." "No," Shi Huangdi interrupted, his voice a low growl. "The time for diplomacy is over. It is either I crush them now, or they will crush us later. We will show no mercy." In retrospect, it was a moment that would alter the course of his reign, a moment steeped in the throes of ambition, fueled by a fear of losing everything he had built. The seeds of conflict had been sown long before, but it was this decision that would ignite the wildfire that consumed him. With the sun barely cresting the horizon, casting long shadows across the battlefield, Shi Huangdi rallied his troops, a spectacle of might and arrogance. "Today, we forge our destiny," he proclaimed, his voice booming across the field. Soldiers, invigorated by the promise of victory, shouted their fealty, their spirits bolstered by their emperor's fervor. Yet beneath this veneer of confidence lay a precarious illusion. Shi Huangdi believed that a swift, decisive battle would quell any thoughts of rebellion, that a decisive move would solidify his power. He envisioned a triumphant return, an emperor victorious against all odds. But as the first arrows flew and swords clashed, the battlefield became a tempest of chaos, a stark contrast to his grand vision. Soldiers faltered, some driven by fear rather than loyalty, while others saw a chance to flee. The cacophony of battle drowned out the cries of valor, leaving only the sound of despair. What he had perceived as a final blow against his enemies soon revealed itself as a grave miscalculation. His army, though vast, was not invincible. The Han and their allies fought fiercely, rallied by the very fear Shi Huangdi sought to quell. In this moment of combat, the emperor faced the grim reality that ambition often blinded leaders to their own vulnerabilities. "Push forward!" Shi Huangdi shouted, his voice a battle cry lost amidst the clamor of steel colliding with steel. He plunged into the fray, a titan among men, wielding his sword as a symbol of his unyielding will. But with every swing, he felt the tide turning against him. Minutes stretched into an eternity as chaos enveloped him. His soldiers, who had once stood shoulder to shoulder, began to waver. A glint of hesitation flickered in their eyes, and with it, the once cohesive unit splintered, chaos reigning where order had been commanded. "Regroup! Regroup!" he yelled, but his command slipped away like sand through fingers. The realization struck him like a blow to the chest: loyalty could not be demanded, it had to be earned. His soldiers were not mere tools to be wielded, they were men, with their own fears and desires. One by one, his trusted warriors fell, their cries mixing with the groans of the wounded. Shi Huangdi's heart raced as he caught a glimpse of the battlefield. Smoke billowed, rising into the air like a lament for fallen dreams. He fought to breathe, to regain control, but the weight of his decisions bore down on him like a mountain. In that moment, among the carnage and cries of battle, Shi Huangdi understood the true meaning of leadership. It was not just about power, it was about connection, understanding, and the unwavering loyalty of those who followed you. And now, as he fought on, he faced the very real possibility of losing everything. Amidst the chaos, a piercing cry cut through the din. Shi Huangdi's eyes widened as he turned to see Li Si, his once loyal advisor, standing defiantly among the enemy ranks, a betrayal as deep as any sword thrust. "Your time is over, Emperor. You have lost this battle, and the people will no longer follow a tyrant." The world around Shi Huangdi slowed, the clanging of swords muted as the weight of Li Si's words settled on him. His trusted ally had turned, and with that turn, the last vestiges of trust shattered like glass. Realization dawned: this fight was no longer just against enemy soldiers but also against the shadows of his own court, the whispers of ambition that had brewed rebellion from within. What once was a grand empire stood on the edge of collapse, teetering as the cries of the wounded echoed in his ears. In those final moments on the battlefield, as victory slipped through his grasp, Shi Huangdi felt the heavy toll of his ambition, the cost of unyielding power and the sacrifices made along the way. The echoes of battle subsided into silence, the once mighty emperor standing amidst the remnants of his empire, faced with the haunting question: was it worth it? As darkness fell over the battlefield, Shi Huangdi looked around at the devastation left in his wake. The loss felt insurmountable, the sacrifice of countless souls weighed on him like a shroud. In that desolate moment, he understood a profound truth about power: it is a fragile thing, easily lost and seldom respected. Ambition, when unchecked, could lead to the most profound downfalls. The desire to control, to unify by force, often blinds individuals to the very essence of humanity, the necessity of trust, connection, and the understanding that those who follow must be led, not driven. In the quiet aftermath, as the cries of the fallen faded into the night, Shi Huangdi found himself at a crossroads. His empire was fractured, but within that fracture lay a lesson about leadership and the delicate balance between power and humanity. He had reached for greatness and, in doing so, had risked everything. The road ahead was uncertain, but in that moment, Shi Huangdi vowed to rebuild, not just the walls of his empire, but the trust and bonds that had crumbled alongside them. He had learned the hard way that true strength lies not in the iron hand but in the open heart. And so, as the first rays of dawn began to pierce the pall of night, a new resolve took root within him. Shi Huangdi's journey was far from over. The legacy of a leader is not defined by victories alone, but by the lessons learned in the aftermath of defeat. Now, with remnants of both the past and future hovering in the air, he prepared to rise again, a leader forged not just in the fires of ambition, but also in the crucible of humility. As the screen fades to black, the viewers are left with the haunting reminder that true leadership is defined by the connections forged and the lessons learned, an indelible footprint in the sand.